Chris Lee and Blake Lovell from Southeastern 14 here on a Tuesday morning. Blake, SEC basketball may be over this year on the floor other than A&M in the NIT, but boy, my goodness, the storylines just never quit coming.
Yeah, don't knock A&M, anyone out there. They are still playing for an opportunity for a championship, but yeah, I mean, it's just, we know, again, if you're not following the NIT right now, then everything that's happening transfer-wise and recruiting-wise, like, that's the main focus. And again, it's not like you get a week off. I mean, this stuff is just nonstop right now, and new coaches are adding to their staff and all that stuff. So a very busy time, and certainly for a couple teams in particular, I think one that will stand out for watchers of our channel. Pretty big recruiting developments took place on Monday, and yeah, like now you're looking ahead to next season because, man, like
They
I said,
keep on,
one
yeah,
team in particular has built up the kind of roster, and again, everyone knows who we're talking about, and we'll get into it in a second. But yeah, one team in particular has built up the kind of roster that is going to have them once again, I think, in the SEC title hunt for sure. So.
Well, that team would be Arkansas, which now has, 6 signees in the top 135 players, according to Rivals, 3 in the top 27. The latest, Anthony Black, he'd be the third-rated commit, according to Rivals, in that class. Nick Smith is 4. Jordan Walsh is 19. All these according, again, to Rivals. But the Black commit's an interesting one, Blake, because he's a kid who blew up, last summer from obscurity to, I think, the McDonald's All-American game, and the numbers on paper aren't eye-popping in terms of the stats he had in high school, but the ability, my goodness, seems to be off the charts.
Well, I mean, when you're, a top 25 5-star recruit and
6'7"
talk about,
guard, yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say your size is 6'7" for a point guard. I mean, that's not bad. And when you consider they've already got Nick Smith, and I mean, you're just thinking about the backcourt scenarios and all that. And look, I know people in the comments were telling us that JD Notae can technically still come back, but I think that this is probably a pretty clear picture of what the backcourt's going to look like next season. Listen, if that were to somehow happen, hey, I mean,
Great.
again, good luck beating this team. But again, even if not, you're looking at this and you're looking at Anthony Black, you're looking at Nick Smith, and of course, you add in Walsh and all those guys with him. I mean, it's just, you saw the Muss tweet yesterday where it's him with the McDonald's bag and he's got 3 cheeseburgers there. Now he's up to a third, up to a triple. Yeah, I mean, it's something. And so I think it's going to be very fascinating to watch. Again, I mean, right now, depending on where you look, right? Look, they're a top 2 class recruiting wise. I don't know what Rivals said. I had 24/7 pulled up, and Duke's still number 1, Arkansas's 2, but Alabama's 3, by the way. So, I mean, it's just kind of what we've come to expect in the SEC, to take this a little bit bigger than just Arkansas or Alabama, like we said, because Alabama's sitting there right now too with, of course, Brandon Miller and Bradley and those guys that they've already got secured for next season. And, this is kind of what we've come to expect. And we said, like, even when Eric Musselman and Nate Oates were hired in that group, Buzz was in there and Stackhouse. I mean, look, the recruiting was already on the way up at that point. But now you see the kind of classes that these guys are assembling. And again, that's what we keep going back to when it comes to the talent. And this is not even, I mean, in some sense it is, but we're not even talking about the transfer part of it, which we know that these guys are going to be able to bring in, those kind of players too. And so, yeah, I mean, it's pretty remarkable right now to kind of look at. I mean, even Vanderbilt's in the top, I think in 24/7, they're in the top 20 for 2022. So it's something, man. But yeah, if you're specifically looking at Arkansas, and we talked about how this was a very experienced lineup, we had a lot of seniors, and we know kind of the eligibility stuff and all that, and how it's kind of changed over the past year, 2 years now, in terms of having that extra opportunity to come back, no matter what. I mean, this is a. I mean, I don't like doing the preseason. Okay, this is 100% a preseason top 5 or top 10 team. I don't like going there because we're
Too many
in.
questions to be
I
answered.
mean, we're in March still.
Well, to
But
be more accurate, too many questions that haven't even been created yet. So,
right, I was gonna say
yeah.
we're still in March. There's a lot of other teams out there that can do things to upgrade their roster. But yes, if you're looking ahead as it thing stands right now, and there's a million transfers that still have choices to make. Yeah, there's a little doubt that from a pure talent standpoint, I mean, Arkansas will be younger with these guys leading the way, but man, talent wise, they are loaded with this group. So
Okay, let's talk the portal because you've had some players go in from the SEC. You've had some players land. What has stood out to you, just say within the last week or so?
last week, within the last 5 hours, is probably
Well,
better.
yeah,
I'm just
that
kidding,
is. But what I'm
we're
trying to do
joking.
here is keep everybody up to date because, like, if you miss a day or two, you may have missed a lot.
Yeah, when that's a joke was,
Right.
the last 5 hours, there's been 50 people probably entering in the portal. So, um, yeah, I mean, it really is a scenario of take your pick. I mean, this could be an hour long episode here that going into all the different players. Because again, I'm looking 24 hours out right now, and there have been about, I want to say around 50 players or so just in 24 hours. Not just from the SEC, but all over the place. South Carolina's had several. Devin Carter was someone we talked about.
Oh,
He's obviously in there. I mean, really, like if you look at verbal commits, like their list basically, goes to a certain point. I think a certain number. There's 909 transfers in as we speak right now, but their updated list only goes to like a certain thing, and like we are barely over 23 hours, and this list is like it's at the bottom. So like you can't scroll any further because there's just so many different ones out
weren't
there.
there
So
over 2,000 last year?
well, they put out the stat. There were more last year at this time than
Okay.
than there are right now. But Victor Bailey Jr. No surprise, he leaves
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee, goes to George Mason. You can do the math and understand the connection there with Kim English. So that's a nice landing spot for him with some familiarity on that. Like I said, South Carolina's been one that's got hit with quite a few. Williams Levesque's in there now. We talked about Devin Carter. There's probably more from South Carolina. I don't remember the ones we brought up to this
Eric
point.
Stevenson, we have mentioned.
Eric Stevenson, Jermaine Couisnard's in there. All those. I mean, take your pick on the South Carolina roster. We know how it's going to work for some of these new coaches. Sharif O'Neal at LSU. Coaching change there. Don't think it's a surprise. Jordan Wilmore, another big guy at Missouri. No surprise there. Really, I'm just going down the list here because there's so many. Sammy Hunter and Austin Crowley at Ole Miss. Those are two that are in there. And I think it's something else to look at, like Murray State. Half of
Yeah.
Murray State's team all transferred, or not transferred, put their name in the portal yesterday. So who follows to LSU with Matt McMahon?
Yeah.
Which he already picked up Kendall Coleman, the kid from Northwestern State. But let's be honest, there's not going to be much of a surprise if a few of those Murray State guys wind up at LSU. I have no inside information on that, but that wouldn't surprise anyone, I think. So I think it's that kind of stuff right now. I think it's the coaching changes to me are the big ones because there are some instances where if you're a new coach coming in, maybe these guys just aren't going to fit your style, and we know, as we've always said, if you're a player, it hurts nothing to put your name in there, even if you decide to come back, right? Now, I will tell you, I don't know if you saw this, Chris. There was a very interesting post from our friend Gabe DeArmond yesterday about one particular transfer that could be not just making his way to Missouri, could be making his way back to Missouri.
Oh, I have not seen this.
So
if it didn't involve baseball yesterday, I didn't see it. I'm
Well.
getting caught up there. So,
Well, let me find this for you. So, Power Mizzou put out the tweet yesterday. If you're looking for a little Monday drama, here are screenshots from an Instagram story posted by Xavier Pinson a few minutes ago.
I saw your volume cut for a minute. Who?
Xavier Pinson.
Oh,
So it's
Oh,
basically it's like well, I guess it's like an Instagram story, and it's a three-parter. It's like the first one says if you're wondering, and it has him, shooting a ball.
I'm
The
wondering now.
second and the second one says I'm highly considering it, and then the third one says um basically something like, I wish my teammates were there with me, so the guys he'd play with, but he has the return question mark, and so I don't know. I mean, crazier things have happened. I mean, look, it's Dennis Gates is trying to just build. I mean, look, it's not that unusual, as we said, for a coach to come in and just completely try to overhaul everything and kind of build the way he wants to build, right? And again, Dennis Gates has familiarity with that and what he did at Cleveland State. This is a much different scenario now, but I mean, I mean, if you're talking about trying to win right away, and like we said, he's already got the number one JUCO player, could get the number two one, and Sean East, depending on how that works out. Landed DeAndre Golston from Milwaukee, a high scorer. If you're trying to win right away, and I know that Xavier Pinson had his ups and downs, and decides to leave Missouri to go to LSU, but I'd take him. I mean, I really would, and
Sure.
I know Missouri fans will be maybe split on that, depending on,
They'll
again,
get
he's
over
someone
it
who.
in 5 minutes.
Well, and again, I think if you're trying to win, that's one that's very interesting to me. So, who knows if that winds up happening? But I find that pretty fascinating, nonetheless, because that would be a big boost for Missouri. Let's be honest. That would be very significant, I think, to get Xavier Pinson back on the roster in a situation where you have a new coach and you're trying to win right away, perhaps. So, that's an interesting one, I think, to keep your eye on. But everything else, we'll see play out over the next month. Let's be honest. This isn't just a 1 week, 2 week thing. I mean, this is going to keep playing out over the next little while. And again, by the time you watch this, there will probably be more guys that that hit the portal that we haven't even talked about. But it's a very interesting dynamic, because I think this is where you start to see, all right, to me, especially for the new coaches, for the guys who are coming in and you're trying to get a glimpse of what the roster is going to look like in year one. This is a very important time, because it's either keeping some of the players, picking up some of the players from elsewhere. Like we said, Matt McMahon could pick up some of his better players he had at Murray State. We'll see how it plays out, but so yeah, I think we'll see how it unfolds from here.
I've been scrolling through the whole list as you've been speaking
Yeah,
on verbal commits. I mean, I joke. I have paid a little bit of attention to this. It's not been all baseball, but I don't think we have. Did we mention Devin Cambridge the last few days? He's left Auburn. He's got a
yeah, we
brother.
did, didn't
Okay,
we?
I can't
I
remember.
don't
Well,
remember if we did or not. Actually, I don't. I think we did, but someone will tell us if we didn't. But I
well,
think we did.
if
But
you didn't, or if we mentioned another show, now you know. He'll land with his brother somewhere. I think Ole Miss could be a spot with that one. Vanderbilt has lost. Let's see, Shane Dezzoni, who left Arizona when Sean Miller was fired a year ago, played as a role player for them last year. Jermaine Mann has left Vanderbilt. He was a rotation guy for them. Taryn Frank has left. He played some. So that's three at Vandy. I mean, they're just you look at these and the list gets watered down by a lot of walk-ons and guys you haven't heard of, even at the schools that we cover. So I guess it's not, in terms of star power, the league hasn't really lost a ton yet, I guess.
no, and again, that's you never know. I mean, how it's going to play out. But I think as of right now, it's just like it's funny because you think that like the transfer stuff will just stop like
Oh no.
first week of April or second week, but like it keeps going like into May and all that. So a long way to go on the transfer stuff. Let's be honest. And so, yeah, I mean, you could spend an hour just using the scroller on your mouse, and you would still be scrolling through verbal commits right now and
Yeah.
all the players that are in there. And it's just there's so many, and you can certainly see, everybody's reaching out. We talked about Eric Musselman before. It's just a science. Anytime you see a player that is transferred, you're going to see Arkansas having reached out somehow. That's just kind of how it works, and we laugh about that. But I mean, that's what they do, and it makes sense to approach it that way. So yeah, it's an important time. There's no doubt about that. I mean, it's a very important time for teams because you are trying to assemble your roster as quickly as possible, not just for the returning guys, but for the new coaches, especially. I think coming in, and as we said, you've got 6 guys in new spots, so that's a very important part of this, and we'll see how it goes. But like we said, really, I think right now the team with the most momentum is the team that was the last one left standing, and that's just based on the Anthony Black commitment. I think it's just Arkansas. I mean, that was one that a lot of people had said, and of course you've seen all the stuff people talking about. Well, Arkansas beats Gonzaga, and Anthony Black chooses Arkansas over Gonzaga, and so. But hey, give Eric Musselman and his staff credit. They got quite a roster assembled, and yeah, and we know, right? Like, we know how it works. He'll pick up a transfer or two in the portal, and yeah, and we'll see how these other teams can kind of continue to do the same. So,
Wager on sports, win NFTs without risking any money. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, it's not. Stakes is the wagering app. It's casual, social, made for all sports fans, whether it's by yourself or with friends. Experience the thrill of sports betting without needing to worry about losing your hard-earned money. Sign up, use our code Southeastern14 to join the thousands of other sports fans playing with Stakes. Blake, any parting thoughts or things you're watching?
no, I think it's it really is just obviously, as we said, if you want to watch an SEC team play basketball, Texas A&M is going to do that tonight against Washington State. I think Texas A&M. Someone asked yesterday. I think they got a great shot to win the NIT. They play Washington State tonight, and then they've got the winner of Xavier and St. Bonaventure. I mean, I don't think it's. I think A&M's the best team remaining. So yeah, I think it would be. I think I said my wording was be a nice middle finger from Texas A&M to the NCAA selection committee if they were to win the NIT, because we always talk about the NIT, right? It's a lot of motivation goes into that, and especially if you're one of those teams that gets left out, don't think you should be left out. Getting a team motivated to go play in the NIT is not an easy thing to do. So I think you give credit to Buzz Williams for that too, and the players. I mean, they came out from the jump, and clearly they have been on a mission to do just that. So yeah, I think that's an interesting watching basketball tonight with A&M, and yeah, and we'll see how things unfold roster wise, and still some coaches that are trying to put their staffs together. Todd Golden, I think, is pretty much close to being done with his. He's made a couple additions in the past couple days, and we'll see how things continue to progress from there on all the other new coaches' staffs. So
I think Ed Conroy's left Vanderbilt for the Citadel.
Yep, he is going to be there. I think Mike White's added a couple of his guys from Florida, I want to say. So yeah, still, I don't think as of right now as we're recording, I don't think we've seen a lot on Matt McMahon or Dennis Gates or Lamont Paris's staffs just yet. But again, we know the Final Four. Remember, Final Four is a big networking weekend. So I think you'll see those kind of things maybe from some of these new coaches. You'll see the staffs filled out, I think, by National Championship Day. That's my guess. So.
All right, he's Blake Lovell. I'm Chris Lee. Thanks for watching. We've got a lot of baseball content coming up this week, and we posted a video this morning wrapping up last weekend. We'll have some previews, some other stuff. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button. We'll see you again very soon.